Alrighty, deep writing. I saw this video in my visions the past few days. This desk, these colors of blue, and this angle, and now it's happening. So, very nice. I want to talk about deep writing as an antithesis to mindless consumption. And the reason why this is relevant is because I think one of the things that makes it very hard for us to stop mindlessly consuming on our digital devices is that we don't have anything to replace it. And that's where deep writing comes in. That feeling that you get after you mindlessly consume, feeling like you wasted an hour, 2 hours, or however many hours, this feeling of depletion of energy, this haziness, this cloudiness, all those feelings that you get with mindless consumption, if we were to reverse engineer the process, what's the opposite? Ooh, okay, computer. One of the best Radiohead albums, probably my favorite album ever after Dark Side of the Moon. What is the opposite of those feelings? The opposite of feeling like you wasted an hour is feeling like you did something that was worth your time. The opposite of being hazy and cloudy is feeling sharp. The opposite of feeling depleted and discouraged is being inspired, maybe recharged. So what do we have to do to do something to get to those feelings, the opposite feelings? We'd have to do something that's opposite of the activity that's producing those feelings. And the opposite of mindless consumption is deep writing or deep work. And I know the struggle of this, and let's quickly validate, just real brief, because you probably heard it a bunch of times, but just to remind you, the validity of this struggle is that we've never had access to this much information in our lives so easily, right at our fingertips. It's never been so normalized. However, with great power comes great responsibility, and so comes our responsibility to control this, to control our own partaken in this technology that we've created for ourselves. And we can actually use this as an opportunity to do something very meaningful, which is deep writing. So, writing sessions. Now, you might not think of yourself as a writer or someone who can write, whether it's poetry or whether it's writing a novel or writing anything artistic or anything informational, whatever have you. I want you to forget about those definitions because those things do not apply to what we're talking about right now. The type of deep writing that we're talking about is simple writing that gets you deep within yourself, a sort of personal documentation of your thoughts, of your feelings, emotions, ideas, the things that are unique to you, which then you can read back and will teach you something new about yourself that will lead to revelations, lead to new signs of guidance, new trinkets of wisdom that you didn't even think you were capable of. And again, that all comes from the simple writing. I don't want you to think about the definitions of what makes you a good writer or what makes a piece of writing good. The type of writing that we're talking about right now is the type of writing that is powerful because you allow time to bring out its magic. The more time you spend on that page, the more time you allow that pen to be moving on paper, which first of all, if you're watching this video, you have access to paper and pen. So there's no excuse not to do this. And that's what makes it very easy and accessible, just like the phone and the laptop. If you allow time to do its work, to do its magic, it's sort of like, those videos of like a watermelon getting exploded by all these rubber bands that keep getting placed on it, like 100 rubber bands. Eventually, one of those rubber bands is going to pop the watermelon. It's like Jack in the Box, right? You keep spinning that Jack in the Box. Eventually, it's going to pop out. And that's because of time. And the more time you allow in a writing session, the more deeper you come in contact with the psyche, the power of the mind, the creative spirit, however you want to label this inner power. But it's an inner power. It comes from within. And that length of time of writing onto the page is literally like you're physically going deeper and deeper. And you're allowing these thoughts to come onto the page, which then when you read back, you realize that they're trying to tell you something. Now, whereas mindless consumption is this sort of disconnection from yourself. This is very much a deep, deep connection with yourself. It's connecting you to something very personal, something very important. And it also shines light on the validity of your own inner wisdom, which sort of subconsciously we lose when we delve into devices, when we mindlessly consume things. The reason we lose it is because we're building this dynamic and this belief that this thing that we're using has the power and has the answers. We're chasing it. That's the power dynamic that's at play in a large part of when we use these devices. So in order to build the opposite of that, again, it's the opposite activity. It's going deep within yourself. Now here's the great thing. You can write about anything. Anything at all. Whatever you want to write about. Whatever you're curious about in the world. Maybe a video that you watched on YouTube. Instead of letting that just pass over you as something that's just here and there for a quick stimulus, let it be something that sparks new ideas and new imagination. Let it be something that brings you to the paper and pen. Now you can write about all those ideas that you were thinking about when you were watching the video. And you can lay out what your soul is trying to tell you. You could write about a movie that you saw. You could write about an experience you had last week. You can write about a relationship that means something to you. You can write about any observation in this world, in this universe, that's unique to you. You write about it. And I don't want to talk about even, again, like I established, let's forget about the definitions of what makes a piece of writing good. I don't even want to go over technique of writing. I just want you to write and allow that writing to surprise yourself. You'll find the answers and techniques that you need in the doing, in the writing. The reason something like this is not only important individually, but collectively, is that the more our technology gets advanced, the more we can delegate individual thinking and creativity over to a piece of technology that's external to us. And so we don't have to do these things for ourselves. We just allow these things to do it for us. That can become very, very dangerous if we just depend on these things to think and imagine for ourselves and for the way that we collectively live on this planet. So again, with great power comes great responsibility. We have a responsibility to not disconnect and not lose our own inner authority, inner power, inner creativity, inner genius, to not lose that in this world. This is very simple. The reason why this is powerful and simple is because it's not the paper and the pen that's powerful. It's you that's powerful. You're the one who's bringing these ideas and this power to the paper. Let this be something that shows you that you already have it all within. This is just helping you to unlock it. You won't get the same type of immediate gratification from this activity as you would with a digital device. Imagine it like the exterior technology is like a microwave heating up a meal. And this is more like heating something up on the stovetop. It takes more time, but in the end, the quality of the food is better. Imagine this act of writing as tending to a garden. And you writing is you doing your part to tend to the plants, to give it water, to provide the soil, make sure it's in the sunlight. And then the plants and fruits that you reap are the ideas and the guidance that you then derive from the pages when you read them back. And when you read them back, you need to have intuitive interpretations of them. Just trust the way that you feel based off of what you wrote. You hold those answers within as to what they mean and what they're trying to tell you. And in this process, you do need a level of patience, because it's not an immediate thing. Again, it's not an immediate sense of gratification. You want that factor of time. Be patient with the page. Be patient with the writing. And the reason why there's messages from these pages is that when you write and you tune and you go deep within, you're contacting and communicating with the soul. You're opening up this vessel. And if you do that, the soul's going to communicate back to you. It's the same thing with when you make art, because this is an artistic practice. This is making art. When you make art, you are communicating with the soul. You're tuning into that vessel of creativity and imagination. And so the soul sends messages to you through the art that you make. Same thing with this writing. The soul's going to use this as an opportunity to send you messages, to send you things that you need to hear. And so whether it's stream of conscious writing, artistic work, deep writing, whatever it is, it's all speaking to you, and it all has messages. And again, to decipher the messages of guidance, you be intuitive, because that's how you interpret art, right? When you watch something or you listen to something, that's an intuitive experience. You're feeling things that you can't necessarily rationalize at the moment. You feel them naturally. That's your natural reaction to them. And so you read back your writing intuitively. And maybe you read back a piece of writing that you wrote months later, weeks or months later, and it takes on a different meaning, just like a piece of art. You know, you watch a film years later in your life, you're a different person, that means something different to you. The messages can evolve and change over time, but it has an important message for you right now in this moment. And something to help you with how you interpret these pages is just see what comes up for you. What's the emotion that arises when you read it back? What are your deep-seated emotions? That's your superpower. That's your wisdom trying to make itself known to you. Finally, joy. You know, the same reason why we might go to a device to get joy, to get a stimulation, to get a hit of dopamine, whatever it is. Again, it's like that same goal of trying to heat up a meal or a dish. You want it to get hot so you can enjoy it. And that joy is still present within this writing activity. You can experience a fulfilling, soul-nourishing, healthy joy from these writing sessions. It might take some more patience, but you'll get it nonetheless. If you allow yourself to just be authentic, just let the writing go. Again, forget those definitions of what makes writing good. Don't let that bog you down. Don't let that constrict you. Just write what you feel called to write. Fill up the page. And you'll get this joy in the connection with yourself. Because that when you connect deeply with yourself, that results in fulfillment. The fulfillment is an indicator that you're doing something that's healthy for you. And then the more that you write, the more that these things can just become a regular practice in your life, a regular routine, or something that you regularly want to return to because of the feeling that's associated with it. The interior revelations, the connection with yourself. And there's this incredible feedback loop where you take those intuitive impressions, interpretations of your writings, and you put them into action. You decide on how you want this to inform the things that you're doing in your life, which also builds a relationship of trust with yourself. And that feedback loop of writing, interpreting, getting ideas, guidance, wisdom, putting that into action, aligning spiritually with what feels right from within, from the answers within. You notice that working incredibly in your life. I think that's why I love writing so much, is ultimately, I think the biggest reason is that it's a healthy source of creation, of doing something that's accessible to me and something that really helps me in my life. And a tip, I would recommend to leave it in your proximity. You know, just like the phone, the reason why the digital device is so easy to go to is that it's so invasive in our space, voluntarily invasive. We allow it to be next to us all the time. So leave this out in the open. You know, leave this out on your desk, the paper and the pen. Just leave it out so that it's easier to get to, so that it's on your mind more, and that you can go to it instead of going to something else. So again, I know it's hard to get off of the digital devices and sort of put our foot down and make our own boundaries, but I think it's difficult to do that if you don't have something to replace it. And remember that ultimately, there's a reason for everything. There's a reason why we go to those devices for something. It's because we're not connecting or we're missing something else, some kind of connection with ourselves or some kind of experience. And we can get this from other places, and I think the deep writing is a very accessible and easy and powerful thing, self-empowering thing that we can do to replace that. So thank you so much for watching. Get to writing. Create your art, the art that calls to you. Make good decisions and start living fulfilling days right now, right here today. Hope this video was worth your time. I'll see you guys in the next one. As always, God bless, dream on, and peace out.